Hi, so today I'm going to be explaining how to do delayless karaoke on Discord and in general how to set up ASIO patching in Voicemeeter, specifically geared towards musicians so that you can provide proper performance without having a noticeable gap between any backing tracks and your voice. What this really uses, the things that you need, you're going to be needing I use Ableton. A couple other DAWs will work. I know Reaper does for sure. If the DAW has ASIO patching available or like external ins and outs, then it will be perfectly fine to run that. Then you'll also need an application called Voicemeeter. Oh, issue that. If you're not familiar with Voicemeeter, Voicemeeter is a application that allows you to run a virtual mixing console, and so you can separate your audio streams and determine which stuff goes to where, and if you want that stuff to be there. So, we're gonna start off with going through what we're gonna be doing in Voicemeeter. If you already have like Voicemeeter set up, great. I don't really feel like explaining actually how to set it up because it can get a little convoluted in terms of how you set it up, at least for like so that you can continue to hear stuff. Um, just know like whatever audio device you're sending to on your desktop audio sends to your monitoring device of some sort so that you can continue to hear sounds in the real world. Other than that, it's fairly simple to set up. So we're gonna open up system settings and options. This is gonna be a big thing on how we get our audio to come from Voicemeeter and go into Ableton, which will be doing the blunt of the work. The Ableton is what's gonna be adding our delay and making it so that our instruments and our audio are synced up. So, first off, if you're running an ASIO device, you don't want to run it as a singular input. If you were to be selecting your ASIO device as just like a non-ASIO driver, you're going to be getting a stereo input, and it is going to blend the two inputs together. I run a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, and I have two separate inputs on there. I have one input that is set for my microphone, and another input that is patched into my mixer, my hardware mixer, which has my guitars hooked up to it. So in any case, I don't want those to be mixed together because I don't want to be like distorting my microphone on accident or accidentally playing guitar while I'm in a meeting or something and it carries over. So we're going to go over to this middle section right here where it talks about our A1 main device. So our A1 main device, we've already selected that in Voicemeeter. That's the Focusrite USB ASIO. In my case, that's what the driver name is called. And we're going to go through this patch ASIO inputs to strips. So what I do, I have like I like backwards everything. But just in general, you want to patch into these. So I can select here and like go through and everything. I keep it as mono because it's like a single channel because it's a mono input. I don't need to patch over any more than that. Oh, that's wrong. But that it has nothing to do with what I was talking about. But yeah. So we have this set over. This one is my instrument cables. So my instruments are patched into strip 2. My mic is patched into strip 3. If you see it lighting up here, that's why, because it is patched into strip 3. Or it is, yeah, set into strip 3. Now, what we're going to be doing, we're going to go down to this last section over here. This is our patch insert section. This is how we're going to be sending our audio from Voicemeeter to Ableton. So we want to be able to enable the tracks that we plan on using for audio in Voicemeeter, because we're actually not going to be having audio directly coming into Voicemeeter and then coming onto these strips over here. It's going to be into Voicemeeter, into Ableton, back from Ableton into the strips. So obviously we want our mic enabled. Our mic is enabled on strip 3. So we're gonna be doing these channels 5 and 6. If you're running instruments and everything, I have a singular channel for all my instruments because I can't play more than one at a time. And that is channels 3 and 4 on strip 2. And then, so this is where my instruments are. And then finally, we're gonna have a delayed audio eventually. This is what's gonna feed into our microphone if we're doing karaoke, singing over. This is how our backing track is gonna exist. And so it's going to be on this strip 1, and it's going to be at we need to patch in channels 1 and 2. Then lastly, your desktop audio, depending on what you did, like which one you used, you'll be patching in the corresponding left and right channels. For me, I use we have 3 options on Voicemeeter Potato, so I can do I choose VAO 3. I don't know why. I just like that one better. And so I send that. I take channels 27 and 28, and I also patch those over. Pre-effects, post-effects. I like pre-effects. So like these effects here. I don't run them. I just prefer to keep it on pre. So in that case, we should more or less be done with our setup in Voicemeeter for now. We'll be coming back to Voicemeeter to connect all our applications together and to connect our inputs to send to specific applications. So if we now go into Ableton, we're going to see where we need to do all our magic work. First off, you're going to be opening up your preferences in Ableton. You can find that by going to Options and then Preferences, or you can on Windows press Control comma and it will open up your preferences. You have a variety of stuff on this menu on the side. What you want to look for is your audio preferences. Your audio preferences are going to determine like whether or not this gets patched or not. So under your audio device, you're going to want to select ASIO, not the MME or DirectX. That is delayed by a lot. And then you want to select, in my case, I am selecting Voicemeeter Potato insert. If you're running Voicemeeter Banana, I believe you just do virtual Voicemeeter insert. But I'm running Potato, so I keep Potato in there. Now under input configurations, we're going to keep all the inputs for the stuff that we are using. And so in my case, I have the inputs for the mono inputs for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, my instruments and my microphone enabled. I don't really mess around with that. 27 and 28 are inputs as stereo because they are my desktop audio. My desktop audio is input as a stereo. It has a left and right. That is how we are going to have that patched over. Similarly, we want to look at the output configuration, which this one is going to be, for me, it's going to be more stereo inputs or stereo outputs because a lot of my effects will run stereo effects, and I would like those to carry over. My guitar amp, I can make it stereo stuff. So your outputs, you got 1 and 2 enabled because we need to send our desktop audio out to Voicemeeter a second time. We're gonna explain that later. 3 and 4 for instruments, and then 5 and 6 for mics. 27 and 28 is obviously, as we mentioned before, it is for desktop return. So now that we have that set up, we're all good on this end. We have all our settings that we need to. If you wanted to look, you can see what your added latency is with Ableton. I could do better on my latency, but it is whatever right now. So now we're in Ableton. If you were to have like a fresh track set up, you would just see some blank stuff. This is obviously like what I use for my audio patching, so it is already preset up because I am demonstrating the technique I'm showing right now. So we're gonna look at this bottom section on our faders. We're not gonna be in like studio view or anything. We're gonna be in performance view or whatever this vertical one is, where you see the vertical strips, and we're gonna be checking our audio from. Our audio from can be from like just our device, I believe. But we want to make sure that's selected as external in. For my mic is only transmitting through channel 5. So we are going to run channel 5 as a mono in and then turn our monitor to on. We can have the monitor on auto, but that means if our track isn't armed for recording, we're not going to get any sound back. Thus, to avoid the fact that I need to have this for have it armed, we keep mono in as our monitor in as our setting there. And so to get our audio back into Voicemeeter, we are going to be looking at sending through an external out, similarly to how we did the external in, and this will be sending back to 5 and 6. So 5 and 6, and now we have, if you were to look in my Voicemeeter window right here, you can see that the meter is changing when I'm talking. So that pretty much does it for what we need to do with our mic. If you want to, one of the great things, you can add external effects. These are all just free VST plugins that I'm running on my mic right now. So I have a noise gate, a de-esser, a compressor, EQ, and a little bit of reverb. And so this allows me to have a more produced sound, and so it sounds better than just the raw mic input. So we're going to be going now to our desktop audio. Initially, I had just this singular desktop audio track. This track was just the audio coming into VAIO 3, and then it would send to my headphones. But and then I can like patch it into my microphone if I'm on Discord or something. However, when I would patch it into my microphone, you still run into the problem of there's a noticeable delay between your audio and your voice and the audio that the other people are hearing. So the way that I went ahead and fixed that, by the way, we also have it set up with an external in stereo input, 2728, and external out, feeding right back to it. The way I ended up fixing that delay issue is I created a duplicate track. This is a duplicate track of the original desktop audio, except it has a different external out, and it has an added delay. The external out goes to channels 1 and 2, so over on this strip. And this can also still patch into my mic. But since this is delayed, we are actually not going to be listening to it on any of our hardware that we are monitoring with. We're still going to be listening to our hardware monitoring on our initial desktop audio track, but we are going to be running this one without hearing it into the mic. The way that I added track delay, you want to go to View, select Track Delay, and this allows you to add an additional track delay outside of what Ableton's standard delay compensation is. So Ableton, if I'm running these things, I have all these things that run plugins, and they run at different rates. They run at different times and everything. So they have different amounts of delay. Ableton automatically compensates them, so the audio comes out as one solid stream, regardless of how late they come out as one stream based off the longest delay time of the plugins. And so it runs that. The track delay would add an additional time to it. So I made the option for track delay visible, and I added 40 milliseconds to the desktop audio that I do not monitor. Why 40 milliseconds? That just came from me testing things. I messed around with it for a while. Just figured, where is a good range to be in for singing to where I can get stuff on the spot, within a margin of error, obviously. But it is a nice thing to do. And then obviously keep the monitors on in and external out to stereo 1 and 2 so you get the desktop audio. That is actually all we do in Ableton. Ableton runs as a mid link between Voicemeeter and Voicemeeter. If I were to pull up my chart of my audio input, it just goes right back in. But we're gonna make our way back to Voicemeeter Potato and see what we're doing here. So as I mentioned, we're gonna be monitoring off of our original VAIO3. So what we're hearing from here is the desktop initial desktop track in Ableton. And so we have that selected on A1, which is our hardware monitor, like what we're actually listening to and everything. And then our other desktop audio is in actually is hardware input 1, since we have patched it in over there. Hence why we made sure to patch in on inputs 1 and 2. So if I were to play something on my desktop audio, it would come over. I'm gonna mute something quickly and I will play it in the background. So we'll just play this audio track. And you can see that the thing lights up and everything. We're getting input from there, and you also see input right here on the monitor for VAIO 3. So we see that it's working fine. We get what we need. You guys didn't hear it because I didn't want to patch it over, but you can see that it's actually running and everything. So we have this all with the delay now. The easy way to do it, if you want to use that delayed audio and patch it into your mic, I have my mic set up to B1, which the B1 bus, which is our digital output. A digital output. It is marked as Voicemeeter VA Virtual ASIO within most applications. So if you're in Discord, you would go to Voice and Video Settings, and then you would select under your input Voicemeeter Virtual ASIO. If you do the V2, it's Voicemeeter aux, V3, VAIO3. It's a fairly straightforward from there. But honestly, that is just about does it. One of the big reasons why I like this solution as opposed to, like, say you're on OBS and you just set a track delay, this solution works on all applications that take a microphone input. Since you can select this, all my microphone inputs are coming from the B1 bus. Word of advice as well, if you're running Discord call, change what your output device is to something that is not the same as your desktop device. If your desktop device is the same as your Discord output, then you are going to get echo, maybe feedback, because whoever you're calling in Discord will also be patched into your microphone, which is not something that we want. Like, we don't want people hearing themselves. So in my case, I have VAIO set as my Discord input, and that only goes to me, and if I were to be streaming, it would go to my desktop audio. So that's honestly about it. Yeah, have fun.